and thanks for having us, first of all. This is not your first time here in Brutal Assault. And what are your feelings? What do you think about the festival, especially taking into account that it takes in a marvelous place?
I think it's a great festival, but it used to be a different place, right? Kind of like a castle.
In the very past, it
Yeah,
was,
we played
yes.
like
For some
2006 or
time,
something.
it's in the fortress. Yes,
Yeah, it's a little bit different, but
Uh-huh.
it's got bigger, which is excellent. But what could be better to make it bigger? But yeah, we always loved Brutal Assault. It's absolutely one of the top metal festivals in Czech. So it's always great to be here, and it lasts almost a week. My goodness,
Yes,
that's kind
yes.
of like achievement.
Taking into account the warm-up party, it's almost a week. Yes,
Yeah.
yes. And as a band, you signed to Raining Phoenix Records in the near past. And the company was founded by ex-Nuclear Blast manager and another friend. And we can see that the company is growing extremely fast. All the time they are adding great bands to their roster. What do you think? Are you happy to be with this label?
Well, we just released the Borderland album through them, and we've been happy. And it's always nice to have some new metal labels. You know, there's a lot of labels disappeared in the past, and obviously all the record labels releasing metal have some problems because the physical album sales has gone down. So the streamings, you are very dependent on the streaming services. But yeah, the Nuclear Blast was sold, and then they formed Atomic Fire with former Nuclear
Yes.
Blast owner, and then I think it was sold again, and then it's turned to Raining Phoenix Music. But I visited their village. It's fucking fantastic. You know, there's like own brewery, there's hotel, and there's like a beer garden and a vinyl plant. So far we're happy. Yeah, you never know what happens in the future. I think they're trying to grow the whole label as big as it gets, but I have no idea how many bands they
They
have. Sorry.
they have Kerry King, for example.
Oh yeah, that
They
one I
just-
know.
They
Yeah.
are just growing very fast.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes. Uh, Amorphis have always been an innovative band. You know, you tried different things, but as a listener, when I look at the music, I may see that there is a formula to be called as Amorphis music. Are you planning to add some different stuff maybe in the future? Do you have plans to just for a little more changes in your style, maybe?
You say you want the changes?
No, I don't.
Okay. To be honest, we don't really plan anything. You know, we don't really plan what kind of music we're gonna do, and everything just happens throughout the touring and the experiences from the road, and how do you feel about playing the music, and how do you feel about the audience, and how do you see the direction of the music. We made very drastic changes in the past, like you know to change through from Elegy to Tuonela. I think it's as drastic as it can get. Okay, and then we
very drastic.
it's very drastic. Let me tell you.
Yes.
So and then we changed from the Frappe de Sun to Eclipse, pretty much totally. You know, from space rock to hard rock with the symphonic elements and more melodies. So we have good experiences on making the transitions and bad experiences making the transitions. I would like to say that we have become more cautious about changing everything, but to be honest, we still don't. I don't remember any meeting inside the band that we to talk about what kind of music we will make. Okay, then when Tommy joined the band before Eclipse, we made the first. Only thing I remember when we talk about the music was that he said he wants to growl in again, because in Pasi last two albums there was no growling vocals, and we were like, go ahead, please. You know, it's totally fine, because nobody told Pasi not to growl. He just didn't want to do it. So we don't really plan the music. So I really can't answer your question. Time will tell. But obviously we have certain rules. We don't want to disappoint the fans totally, but on the other hand, we don't want to repeat the same shit. Like what we did between the Halo and Borderland. If you listen to the albums in a row, they're pretty much completely different. Like Halo is proggy, guitar-oriented. metal album, and Borderland is more based on melodies and easier time signatures. But we didn't plan that. It just happened. Maybe because we were looking for new dimensions for the music all by ourselves. We didn't talk about it in a band, so I can't really answer your question. Time will tell.
I think you already answered. You answered because I will ask you if it was going organically or you plan something. And you say mostly we go organically and
Yeah, yeah. No,
music comes out.
we have never planned anything with about according to the music what we produce. We just make some music, and then no, ever since Circle, we have used the external producer who selects the songs from the big pile. There's all kind of stuff, but somehow the producer has chosen these kind of songs to the albums, and we are very happy. We can tour around the world, and people seem to like it, and it's everything's going good. And but as said, we are 35-year-old band. We have 15 albums. I'm not saying we are not going to change drastically, but I'm not also saying that we're going to make huge changes. You never know. We just
Yes.
live in a moment, and we tour our asses off. And then when the time comes when you have to start making music, you just make the music how you feel in that particular moment. I personally, I try not to compose any songs before the time is very near to the album process
Yes.
because I want the songs to be fresh. At least for me, you never know.
Okay. Okay. And Amorphis, a band coming out from a Nordic country, Finland, and maybe one of the very first pioneers of the metal music in Finland. And of course, you are very well respected all over the world. But this is also valid for some different great bands. There is also a commerce, business side of music. And for what do you think if you were a band from United States, will your name would your name be much bigger? What do you think about it? Of
Well,
course, the music wouldn't be the same,
I don't really.
taking into account the folk influences.
Well, if we talk about outside of the music and the business side of the
Yes.
business, I think Americans are better putting out like a new bands and make them enormously big just in a second. Like Europeans normally has to work their asses off like
Yes.
album after album after. But I think the music is basically as high quality all around the world. But obviously, Americans have much more resources and they have their own market, which is huge. Like in Finland, you can most of the bands first
The hugest
they
market in the world.
first pop up in Finland, and then the record label starts to invest the money to the Europe. But in American bands, they have 300 million people there, so it's I think it's easier for them to make bands bigger in a shorter amount of time. Obviously, they have their problems. There's so many bands. How to how to get the deal, how to get the tours, how to be presented well. So there's challenges in America, but obviously the biggest challenge in Finland is that we are very small country,
Yeah,
and we are very far away. Obviously nowadays the internet, which didn't really exist in the 90s, or maybe in a very small extent, nowadays, it's much easier with the social media and stuff, to present the band instantly throughout the globe. But it's still same for everybody, and music has to be interesting, and it has to be good. It has to have some hooks. It has to be personal style. I like to think so that it has to have some personality. Obviously, there's a lot of bands nowadays, especially in new metal scene, which you can't really tell like which band it is until you really dig deep. But at least Amorphis has very personal style, and I like to hope that I like to think that if you know a little bit of the metal scene and you hear our song, you can pretty soon figure out that it has to be Amorphis. We are we have a personal style, and we never went with the common roots. Like we want to sometimes in power metal scene, I can't really tell like which band is it until I really focus on the material and stuff.
And you are also very busy with your own material, of course.
Yeah, of course.
And do you have any bad side albums that you repeatedly listen from time to time. The albums you listen, for example, since childhood
Oh, of
to
course.
today,
Oh.
always.
Well, there's so many, but Deepest Purple from Deep Purple is one of my favorites, and with, David Bowie, Ziggy Stardust, Led Zeppelin, almost any, but let's say the Fourth or Houses of the Holy, and Queen, Night at the Opera is one of my favorites.
Yes.
But in yeah, kind of. I have so many. It's impossible to say. Iron
Yes,
Maiden.
of course.
Iron Maiden has a couple of ones. Number of the Beast is great. Even the new ones have surprisingly. Yeah.
Could you tell us one new before ending the interview?
New album. I can
Yeah.
tell you once. One new. Well, I like the Charlotte Vessel's new album. It's kind of experimental, and I love the guitar player. That's one of my favorites from the newcomers. You know, the ex-Delane singer Charlotte Vessels. It's kind of metal, but it's also very artistic, almost Kate Bush kind of style, but with the metal guitars and stuff. So it's very interesting. I'm really following, and I want to see how it's going to turn out in the future.
Okay, thank you very much for sharing
you very
great
much.
time with us.